everybody. Welcome to Fun Friday. We are happy to have everybody here today. So myself and Kelly and Janine, we're super excited to be able to teach you guys today about your farming from A to Z. So our goal today is to be able to give you all of the tools that you need to plug and play. All right, to take the guesswork out of it, to not be complicated, so you can take this and actually put it into practice. Seems like a lot of what we do is we consume a lot of content, we consume a lot of great ideas, but it's the putting it into practice that makes the big difference in our businesses to actually help us get to make money. So it's great when we like to learn, but we want you to put it into practice. Otherwise, we're not doing our jobs correctly. So I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to pass it over, let Janine and Kelly introduce themselves as well. So if you haven't met me, Lisa Bingley, I've been an agent and broker for about 7 years. Almost 8, I guess now. I kill it. I took my county #1 after my first year, sold 58 units my first year. By year 3, I was selling 90 solo, no transaction coordinators, no helpers. And that's been consistent. I've consistently 90 to 120 every single year since then. So I have a lot to share with you always. A lot of information, ways to help you be successful in your business. I have no college degree. I did have no training. I was in a small boutique brokerage that taught me nothing except for to be honest. And so I had to figure it all out. So that's what I'm here to teach you. And I'm happy to meet you guys if I don't know you yet. And now I'm going to pass it over. Let's go to Kelly. She should be able to, there we go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Higgins. I am the owner of Elevated Agent. My history is a little bit crazy. I've been a real estate agent for 15 years. I'm from the Midwest, which is a lot of really small communities that don't necessarily have a lot of real estate to buy and sell. So for a long time, I was an economic developer of my local county. And so I got to learn how to dig into businesses, find where they might be losing money or find missed opportunities, and help them then strategically get a plan in place to correct those downfalls. And so what I learned out of that was marketing is such a huge part of every part of your business. So I kind of took that knowledge when I moved to Topeka. I became the fastest growing agent in Topeka within 8 months. And a lot of it had to do with farming and a lot of the techniques that we're going to show you today. So I hope you guys are all really excited to get a huge amount of information dumped on you. Take notes, but you will get the replay also. I want to say if you guys have any questions along the way, all 3 of us are going to be watching the chat. I have a note thing open so where I can just start typing and copying and pasting questions. So that way at the end, we can kind of hopefully answer some of those for you as we go. So today, my job is going to be really breaking down the marketing piece of farming. I'm going to take you to the backside of my Canva, show you what I do for my clients and what I think is beneficial when you're looking at farming from a design and marketing standpoint.
Awesome. All right. Over to you, Janine.
Awesome. So you heard from an agent that killed it with almost 100 homes in the first year, the fastest growing agent. And I made $15,000 in real estate my first year. So you're going to have a wide variety. So if you're not the agent that killed it the first year, if you are not the agent that said, oh my gosh, what can I do? I'm going to tell you, you're just going to be fine. I did not start out like any one of these. I started out like most agents with a lot of rental transactions, and I'm a transplant, so you're going to hear a slight German accent on that end. So zero sphere and geographic farming is really where I found my people. So I'm going to share with you how you can find your geographic farm the easy way, because there's so much misinformation out there. I'm going to give you the easiest path to geographic farming. So if you don't have a sphere, or if you just want to get another bucket of real estate under your belt, then there's that. And my $15,000 first year in real estate now grew to multiple 6 figures. So it's all possible. It doesn't have to happen on year 1, doesn't have to happen on year 2, but regardless where you started, we're gonna have a strategy for you delivered with the 3 of us. Sound good?
Awesome. You're good. Let's have you take it. I want to let everybody know that when we are all complete today, You will get the replay. It'll probably be up by tomorrow. I'm hoping tonight, but by tomorrow for sure. And then watch your emails, because you're also going to be able to get all the links that you need, all the PDFs that you need, join groups. So we'll give you the links to join the groups if you would like to follow these wonderful ladies or myself, for, of course, more information in the future. So here we go.
All right. Well, this one here is my playbook, my underground playbook for finding your profitable geographic farm. The first couple of things I'm going to do is take you through some of the basics of farming, not the basics that most everybody knows, but a little bit more on the behind the scenes. And then we're going to also have a little bit of a live implementation, because I want to make sure you're actually getting something out of it. Lisa already said it, information consummation is not what we're here for. I want you to see how easy it can actually be. All right. So this one is my underground playbook to discovering your highly profitable geographic farm that will lead to sellers calling you. Fun fact, I'm an introvert by nature, so I don't like going to, do all the hunting that Lisa will share with you later on. So you're gonna get a big variety here of so much cool stuff, right? For me, it was all about building that personal brand beyond the wildest dreams. And first of all, thanks for taking action, right? Just picking a farm is not enough. I want you to know the details on the neighborhood, or at least I want you to be willing to learn, so your business will continue to grow. I really want you to become that hyper local agent expert. And if I haven't mentioned yet, I am the owner of the Hyper Local Real Estate Agent, where farming is especially everything we talk about. Before you wonder, okay, why do I listen to you? You just said $15,000 your first year, right? I'm also the best-selling author of Success with Real Estate Mailers. So if you are wondering, how do I talk to so many people at once? Because I don't pick up the phone and phone call. Mailers is one of the secret weapons that I use on that one. All right, so today's agenda on my end, 5 tips to choose your farm. I want to talk about the T word every farmer knows. And I want to go over the 7 steps to finding your profitable farm. My goal is to hopefully share my screen. So I'm going to bounce back and forth between my MLS at that 3rd step. Hopefully it's going to be all going well. So we'll see. We'll figure that one out. At the end of what I'm going to talk about, and I talk fast, so I hope you're going to be bearing with me, but bear with me through the end, and I'll have some really cool stuff to show you that might actually just solve all your real estate problems in one. So this one here is somebody I want to talk to you first about. Andrew is a brand new agent to the business. He sent his very first mailer with me and received a lead immediately. This just proves that you don't have to waste months and months of working a farm without a return. Okay, I know what's out there, and I know where people say you have to farm for at least 12 months before you get anything. Baloney, you don't. All right, his very first mailer generated him a CMA request in a small townhome community. How amazing is that? Okay, so 5 tips for choosing a farm. And this applies to new agents and seasoned ones alike. So first up, work where you live or places you know. I have this question a lot of, do I have to live in my farm? No, it would just make it a little easier. Why? Because you would know a little bit more about that farm than if it was somewhere across town that you've never heard about it, right? Obviously, this is the easiest way possible. Maybe you have friends and you have a subdivision that you really like. You don't live in it, but you're there quite often, right? Or maybe you have shown houses in that subdivision and you know every time you get a buyer and they're looking in that subdivision, it is like, the fight over the last bone. So you really want to make sure you know the place. This is by far the easiest way to pick a farm. Calculating the neighborhood turnover rate, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that during a workshop session on it, but you want to make sure what you're picking is a profitable farm. And we're going to talk about that word. It's a big one, okay? Picking a farm is not enough, but that's why you're here. Number 3, analyze the competition. We're going to go over that as well. I want you to see, are there other agents that are already farming? I am not against the fact that there is another agent. In fact, my own geographic farm, which started out at 100 homes, has grown to 3,500 homes. And I just added a second farm. So now my total geographic farm came up to 5,000 houses. Now I have a competing agent in my geographic farm. I know that there is a competing agent in it. Personally, I am highly competitive, and I just thought, you know what? Everybody needs a second choice. This person is probably not going to be somebody's cup of tea. Maybe somebody else should step in and give them another option. And that's exactly what I did. Tip number 4, keep your pricing competitive. No, I am not talking about your commission. I am talking about pricing houses. Okay, when we go into our geographic farms and you are just telling them a price that is so crazy high where your listing sits on the market, you are not going to get what you want. You might get that one listing, but for the long term, don't try and get those listings, especially in your geographic farm, by trying to be just higher than the next agent. Okay, know your stuff, know your numbers, and that comes with knowing your neighborhoods. And number 5, go where the inventory is. Again, you know where buyers are wanting to be. You know where there is clusters of houses. You heard Kelly talk about the fact that where she is at, it's very small town. Do we maybe have to go outside that area a little bit so we can just get a little bit more homes and a little bit more turnover going? Okay, be mindful of where you are putting your geographic farm boundaries, because you want to make sure it is a very, very profitable area. All right. So far, so good. Are you guys all still with me? Let me see in the chat. I want to make sure we're not falling asleep. 5 tips, we covered that. Who's ready for the next step? Yeah, love it. Awesome. Wonderful. This agent right here. Want to be like this agent? I had the honor to interview. Her name is Rosie Gonzalez. She actually sells 6 times more homes in her town than the closest competitor. She not just only has a neighborhood, she's got an entire town locked down. Like, this is just amazing. In that town last year alone, she sold 72 homes. 72 homes sold by that agent, and the closest competitor wasn't even close. Like, once you start getting that momentum, there is just no stopping you. It's kind of like a freight train, right? Like, once you get going, I'm like, there is nobody that can stand in your way on it, which is so, so cool when it comes to geographic farming. And this is exactly what we would love for you to start seeing in your own business. So let's talk about calculating the neighborhood turnover rate. And I know I got the boring part, like I really do. Kelly got the cool design. Lisa is like, you know what, let's take the leads, let's make some money. But guys, just like a house, okay, if I'm gonna give you a crappy foundation, you're just not gonna be able to sustain. So yes, I know I want to talk numbers and a little bit of math, but I'm going to try and make it fun, I promise. So bear with me, okay? So let's make sure our foundation is a solid one. So first up, why is my neighborhood turnover rate important? If you have any ideas, feel free to drop them in the chat. But your neighborhood turnover rate is one of these wonderful equations that's out there that tells you how much money you can possibly make. If you go and find a neighborhood that has 4 houses listed for the year, and maybe you're going to get 50% market share, because everybody knows an agent these days, and sometimes they're trying to list with their mom or a discount broker. So let's just assume maybe you have a 50% market share. Those are 2 listings that you might get. Who in here can survive on 2 listings? Probably none of us, right? So we want to make sure that your neighborhood turnover rate is something that can sustain your business. Can you have enough transactions in that one bucket, which is your geographic farm? Should you have other buckets? Of course. But that's not what we're going to talk about today, right? Your geographic farm needs to be that one bucket. The nice thing is, look back in history. You see, Clubhouse. Who remembered the Clubhouse fame craziness, right? Everybody's like, Clubhouse, everybody go over there. And it's like, TikTok, everybody go over there. But one thing that has continuously ranked on the things that we do is geographic farming. Geographic farming and your SOI, right? Those are the two milestone markers in our real estate business that has always been in the top 5. Other things come, right? And we can tell you about Facebook, we can tell you about all those things, but we're here to tell you about one of these really big ones that you should have in your business, solidly set up. And the neighborhood turnover rate is one of those things we really want to look at, because you can build an amazing business on your geofarms. How about this one? Melanie. Melanie has been an amazing member inside the Hyperlocal agent with me, and she went all in on sending mailers to a specific area near her office that no one was farming, at least according to her managing broker. Now, the result, she got several CMA requests at a price point of over $1 million. And since then, she's gotten many, many more. I don't know about you, but $1 million in my market would be pretty terrific. So let me know if $1 million is about the average price point where you're at, or if this would be like luxury. For me, it would be a luxury sale. So really, really cool to see how the leads are just rolling in for her in her geo farm. Now, here are some of the screenshots that she actually sent in, as you can see here, right? Cloud CMA. I know most of us put on the mailer, right? Do not scan here. And here is one. She received another 2 seller leads for over $1 million each. Shut the front door. Shout out Melanie. I think she's actually on here. So this is just something that you can get. People that are raising their hand and are saying, please come and give me a CMA. This makes it so much easier to go after that business rather than just, hey, are you looking to buy or sell real estate, right? I love when sellers reach out to me, and I'm going to show you some of that later on too, but this makes our job just so much more enjoyable and less salesy. Definitely feeling good about that one. All right, so choosing the right geographic farm can make or break an agent's first year of business or propel your business forward. This is really what I want you to take away from this. You'll be able to determine important aspects of your business, marketing and sales. Kelly is going to talk to you about marketing. In order for you to do marketing, we do want to have a little bit of a budget, even though she's going to show you some really cool stuff. So you definitely want to tune in on that one. But you can estimate the total sales for the year. Okay. You know the average price of the home in your market. You can project the revenue from the listings. You can, the number of leads you'll need to meet your sales target. You can get the projected cost of lead generation. You can have conversion rate targets that you can aim for. There's just so much cool stuff, okay, that we can do based on looking at the farms. Also, you're going to be able to create a well-informed and insightful pre-listing presentation using your detailed knowledge of the local market. When you go all in on your hyper-local farm, you don't just talk to everybody anymore. You can tell them, oh my gosh, yes, the neighbor down the street and their home was beautiful. Or, oh my gosh, I've been in that house over there and yeah, it smelled like smoke. I'm not surprised it sold that low. This is local insights, market insights that you have as a hyper-local agent. And having those conversations are just amazing. Like you look so much more like a professional where the word Zestimate didn't even come up. I don't know the last time I sat down with a seller and had the word Zestimate brought up, which was awesome. Now, low neighborhood turnover in a subdivision suggests that homeowners tend to hold on to their properties, okay? Agents should be wary of choosing to farm in such areas. There might not be enough homes on the market for your inventory. And of course, then there's the competition. I already mentioned that. You have grandma all of a sudden still having a license. You have, you know, the discount broker. There's competition everywhere. So make sure there is enough. Okay. Now, here's another one I want to share with you, Bethany. Bethany found me in 2020 and has been an active and engaged community member inside the Hyperlocal agent. In August, she decided also to go deeper into her community and add mailer marketing to her skill sets. She sent me a mailer, we worked on it. At the end of the day, her $3,000 investment into mailers turned into $36,000 in commissions. Like those are real people. They are just like you and I, agents working their butts off for our clients, okay? So when you look at all of this, this is all because of geographic farming. And actually, she just sent me a message this morning. She is sponsoring her community garage sale, and somebody signed up this morning and sent her a message that we were looking to sell our house this summer. Just like that. All right. So let's get into the fun stuff. You've heard me talk a lot, enough for that matter at this point. I want to share with you the 7 steps to calculating your neighborhood turnover rate with your MLS. You have the tools you need, guys, okay? I'm not sharing with you any glitzy, shiny, wonderful objects, or if I need to sign up for this, I need to do that. None of this. Everything you need, you have already at your disposal, okay? So first up, select a subdivision, at least in general. Think about your area, okay? You can jot it down on a piece of paper. You can follow along as we go. I'm gonna bounce between screens, so hopefully that's all gonna work well. But you can just think about a subdivision. Say, oh my gosh, every time I have a buyer for this subdivision, they go like crazy, okay? That's the first part. Then I want you to go to a website called www.eddm.usps.com and select the route that's applicable for that target subdivision so you can receive the total house count. Sounds crazy. But as promised, I'm going to bounce back and forth and show you exactly what I'm going to do. So let's see if I can find the right screen, because I think I'm screen sharing just that one. Let's see. All right, next one. Everybody can see this one. The United States Postal Service is the website we are currently looking at. This is not a fancy, crazy tool. This is out there for all agents, or all people for that matter, not just agents, okay? So what we wanna do, and I'm just gonna, for the sake of it, because I didn't practice this one, I'm just gonna pick my own geographic farm. And we're gonna plug in that subdivision that you're thinking of. Most people go wrong right here. They go and look in the MLS. They go and look and see what can they find. The first step you really want to do is you want to go to this website, because this will let you send mailers in a way that is super, super cheap. I want to say right now they're at 20 or 21 cents for postage. Now that is less than half the cost of your regular stamp, okay? All right, so let me move actually the picture bar out of the way. Let's see if we can minimize it. There you go. All right, so this one here is just an area I want to look at. So let's assume, let's see, what are we gonna take? Let's assume we're gonna take this one here. Let's take this and this. So this part here is currently selected in blue. Everybody can see that, I hope.
Yep.
All right, wonderful. So you can see here now, those two are what we call routes. Now, the cool thing is it tells you exactly here the total number of mail pieces, 786 mail pieces. I now know how many homes are on this route. No counting, no craziness, 786. Approximate cost to get postage sent out, $157.20. We're down to the cents, guys, right? I'm like, this is how easy it's gonna be. Now, let's head back to the slides. That was step number 2 already, right? We thought about a neighborhood. We thought about, okay, this one would be an awesome area. We went to the eddm.usps.com website. Let's see this one. All right. Oh, let me just scroll down.
We can put that link in the email replay as well.
Yes, we can do that. Now, step 3, in your MLS, so we're going to bounce into my MLS in a minute, draw boundary map based on that EDDM route. And we want to select the close date for a 12 months average for the standard year, full year. Okay, so we can look at that. Sounds crazy, it's really not. All right, so let me go and see if I can, I think I already opened up my MLS so we can see that. So far, so good, bouncing between screens. No, I am not a tech genius. I'm just really trying here. So nothing crazy about it. All right, so everybody can see my MLS, I hope.
Yes.
Wonderful. So let's go ahead and draw boundaries. Your guys' MLS is gonna look probably different. But what we want to do is zoom in on that farm that we just had. Oops. Selected. So let's see, we find it. All right, right here. So this side of the street is where our routes are at. So I'm just going to keep it easy here on this one, and I'm just going to select this. Actually, you know what? I got to take the rubber band. Let me change it. Now, there might be, this might be the part where you're like looking at it, squinting at it, seeing which streets are in it. Yes, it's a little pain, but just try to somewhat get it in there because it'll help with getting the house count right and making sure you know how many homes actually sold over there. Okay, so this one here is roughly that shape that we had. We were at what, 700 and some homes. So now in your MLS, you guys, again, know how to navigate yours, but on my end, I would want to make sure I'm going to add in the close date. And I'm going to go back to the beginning of last year. I want to see what 2021 looked like. Okay, so let's go from January 1st to December 31st. And we want to see what actually has closed. All right. So right now it is telling me that there is 31 transactions. I'm going to see if I can highlight that for you guys. I know it's a little small. 31 transactions in that 12-year period. So what do we say? 786 was the total number of homes in that subdivision, right? That's the math part. Bear with me. You're building your foundation. I know it's, where you're like, turnover rate. So if we have 31 homes are sold and 786 are on that route, who can tell me what the turnover rate is? Anybody know the formula? We're going to divide the number of homes sold, 31, by the actual amount of homes itself. Okay, so 786 was the number here. So this one would come out to just under 4%. Now, ideally, and I will tell you, ideally, we're looking for 6 to 8% turnover. In our crazy COVID world, it's been really, really hard to get those numbers. We're seeing the 6% dipping down to 5. If you can find something with a 5 right now, you are good, okay? If you find something that's higher, you are golden. So see if you can go from good to golden. But this one here would be just for this neighborhood alone, those 2 routes. The 2 routes that are going to cost us in postage $157. Remember, that's just postage. We still have to print it, which is roughly about the same. So $300 roughly to get 786 households hit, which is pretty awesome. All right. Wonderful. Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can go back to my slides. All right. So far, what did we do? We looked at the website for the routes. Most people will just look at a neighborhood and say, I just want to do this neighborhood. If you're only looking at the neighborhood, this is expensive, guys. Okay. I'm not a fan of expensive. Who in here likes to have things affordable? Right? Like, yes. So if you're looking back at only one subdivision, you are going to have it being so much more expensive. Go to the route, find the route, and work from there. Okay. Now I showed you 1 year, I showed you 2021. Obviously go back for a few years so you can see a trend. Okay. You want to make sure that this is a consistent trend that is happening. All right. Click for results. We've done that. Okay. Check for the results to see if there's a dominating agent. You can just see if anybody has market share. Again, you know your MLS the best. See if there's anybody in there. Most often, there's not. And if there is somebody, there might be only one person. Okay. All right. So we've done the calculating, right? We had a calculator. We went from this total sales from the MLS divided by the total number of homes, and we got the turnover rate right here. No worries, there is an entire playbook that I'm going to give to Lisa to email you guys so you can follow step by step by step. But this is your foundation, guys. This is as simple as this. This literally took me what? 15 to 20 minutes to go in. Now, this one was at 4%, so I would probably go back and redo it. I would go and find a better turnover rate personally. Anywhere from 6 to 8. Remember, you're golden. 5, it's good, but I think we can do better. So this one here, let me go back on these slides, is what I'm getting out of my geographic farm. Okay, I posted a video on a little free library. It took 3 minutes after I posted that video that I got a message from my neighbor. They would like me to represent them when they're selling in spring and buying something larger. Okay, so that video in my neighborhood got me an $800,000 in volume transaction. This one here, hi Janine, I live in the neighborhood and my youngest daughter is looking for a townhome. She doesn't really know how to begin the process and asked me to help her. I doubt she can afford anything around NoHo. Her lease ends in November, so not sure when we should begin looking. Now, this is somebody in my geographic farm, but it's not a seller. All of a sudden, my geographic farm is bringing forth buyer referrals. Like, how amazing. You guys see where your geographic farms are, they're just really, really cool. So there's another one. Hey, Janine, so I want to reach out to you in regards to some housing questions. We're looking for something bigger, selling our current home. We're aiming for the coming spring, by summer for sure. Working with our bank, right? We want to work with you if you're interested when the time comes this coming spring. I can get into more details if you're interested with working with us. Like, when was the last time somebody actually asked you when, or like if you even want to work for them? There's so much assumption that we will work with anybody, right? We want to make sure your geographic farm knows you in the best possible way. So how do you select your farm? This is how you can figure out how many homes are in there, what's the turnover rate, and really make sure you know your numbers. Here's a couple other people. Terry, right? She received a call from her very first mailer that went out into her geographic farm, and Mr. Seller wants to sell his house, his mother-in-law's house in the same neighborhood, and buy one that they can all live in. What? Yes, she was really excited. Again, you saw Melanie already. Another seller lead today from my second farm. This one is what we call the bread and butter homes, up to 300,000. Here's one from George in California. Thanks, Janine. I got a new listing today for 885 from the neighborhood marketing. And you just have so much opportunity if you decide to really go all in on mailers and a geographic farm along with it. So again, you can browse for various subdivisions and start calculating. Not the most exciting activity, I promise, I had the boring part, but the foundation is really, really important, right? Don't build your home or on your business on dreams and nothing else. Make sure you have the data in there. And I really hope it helped you understand that you don't have to start with a subdivision. Start the smart way and start with the United States Postal Service to get the house count and also to find the best way to reach the people in your farms. That is not expensive. That doesn't require you to drain your bank accounts. That doesn't require you to hire those expensive third-party services. Okay. All right. So the creative way is up next, right? You're going to talk about everything that is now so much more fun with newsletters, postcards, guides, anything like that with Kelly. And I promised you guys, you made it through this part of it. This one here is my quarterly marketing newsletter guide for agents. We'll email that one out. It has in there every single month ideas for you to become that hyper local agent. From events to postcard ideas to videos to really go all in on your geographic farms. Okay, so I hope it was super, super helpful to really see what is possible when you do it in the right order with the right steps.
Awesome. Thank you, Janine. Woo! Awesome. I want to ask a question. I know we're going to do questions at last, but you know me, I like to jump around sometimes. A question that was asked a couple different times, so I just want to clarify is, do you have a suggestion on like going too big, going too small? What's a good amount to try to farm? Somebody had mentioned they want to do like 25, like an area of 2,500 homes. Is that overkill to start with? Do we do with a sample first? What's your suggestion there?
All right, so let's look at your budget, right? You can farm whatever you like if you had a budget that's endless. One of the best ways to put it is if you have two options, you can farm 1,000 houses once, or you can farm 100 homes 10 times. You pick and choose what you think is going to have a bigger impact. I think we can all agree that one is going to have a bigger impact over the other. Okay, I'm not saying you have to find something that you can hit 10 times. In like my mailers, for example, I use mailers because it's the easiest way to reach as many people for me. I don't send more than 8 a year. 8. I don't do it monthly. So I'm a big believer in the fact that somebody that tells you you have to do it monthly is most often a third-party postcard company that wants you to sign up for a 12-month contract. That's not an agent telling you this is what you have to do. So you really want to make sure that you know your budget. So I don't have an answer per se what's the right number, because somebody's budget might be $100 a month. Somebody's budget might be $1,000 a month, right? Know your budget. I can tell you the story where I started, which is I started with 100 flyers. I bootstrapped my way from 100 flyers to 5,000 postcards. This is my journey of where I, wanted to reach the people. So you determine your budget. What's right for you? What can you do without saying, let's do it all, and then nothing at all? Because that's not going to work.
And it's probably better too, to take, like, if you have a certain amount of budget, get that monthly budget together. And then, because you don't want to take what would be like a yearly budget and do one big slam, right? And do one big mailer to 2,500 homes and then blow your budget for the year or blow your budget for 6 months. You probably want to make sure that you allocate per month or at least every other month so that you can be more consistent, I guess.
You can grow. I grew from 100 flyers to my first mailing route, which was 400 homes. And then I added a second route. And now I think I'm at 13 routes. And I just interviewed somebody that sends 100,000 mailers a month. So clearly I still have room to grow.
Awesome.
But the big thing is start small and grow.
Awesome. Thank you. Somebody said they couldn't hear me very well. Can you put in the chat? Can you hear me okay now? Moving my stuff around. So, okay, we're going to jump over. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, I love the Lisas. Okay. All right, we're gonna jump to Kelly now. So Kelly has all the pretty stuff. So let's.
Well, I don't know if I agree with Janine because I'm such a data person that I feel like the numbers are fun too.
I think so too.
But I kind of nerd out on it. So I think that was fun too. You just gave a huge amount of information. So thank you for that. There we go. Okay, so my name is Kelly. Again, I am the owner of Elevated Agent, and I'm excited to be here with you guys. I have an echo. Lisa, I am sorry. I don't know if I can help with the echo because I just moved and my office is completely empty. So bear with the echo. Is it real bad? Should I put my headphones on?
Yeah, put your headphones on and maybe they'll be able to hear you a little bit better.
Okay, if you guys want to just chat about the questions or something so I can go grab them.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go through a couple more of the questions that we've had here. That'll be good. Okay. Occupied versus rentals.
Occupied versus rentals, that's a big one. And that is where it's important to actually have EDDM routes set up because it's so much more efficient than trying to figure out who is, who's living where, because every time you're trying to target a specific address, you almost tripled your cost, okay? George, that said he got a listing from one of his mailers in his area. He also got that listing from an absentee owner, and we're also targeting the people that are renting. So he can now target the buyer, getting a buyer lead, as well as getting the listings. You can do both, okay? Just be prepared. If you want to target absentee owners, you're going to have to target them by address, which is going to be more costly. Would I worry about those right off the bat? No, I know some of you guys are in, vacation markets. There is a strategy for everything. So vacation markets, there's still people that are probably living there. Maybe they want to move and have their own instead of just renting from them. George's market, for example, his absentee rate is 40%. It's pretty big in California. But we're still able to utilize everything we do to get him the listing and the return. And in terms of return, we talked about nerding out on numbers, but my return, for example, in my geographic farm is 1 to 10. So every time I put $1 in, I get $10 out. So pretty happy camper over here.
Awesome. Okay, that's a good question. Let's see.
I think I'm ready. Can you guys hear me a little bit better?
Yep.
Is that better?
That is better.
Great. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So from the creative side of things, I kind of have a few things that I want to talk about. We're going to basically live in my Canva for this part of the training. And something I am going to give away at the end, and it will be in the emails, is just a really, really simple Drive spreadsheet to kind of help you with some of the tracking of the actual activity done on the postcards. So I am a big believer in switching up the kinds of things that you mail to your farm. I don't necessarily always think that has to be a postcard. I'm actually a really, really big fan of letters as well. And so we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit also. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so if you guys don't know me, this is pretty much what Elevated Agent is all about. We create updated, modern-looking marketing pieces for real estate agents only. That's all I work with, which I love, love, love. I've been a real estate agent for 15 years, and so I do think that this has really helped me be able to establish these types of marketing pieces because I know what the client is looking for. And I also know what converts. And so that makes me, sorry, I keep moving that around. Okay, so what we want to talk about first is planning your content and batch planning it. So I just took on a new client. Her name is Sarah. And something Sarah wants to focus on with her her farming campaign is she wants to focus on investors because that's a big piece of their business, is finding investors that want to buy and retain and rental properties. And then the other one is farm, ranch, and land. So That's really big where we are at because we are in a rural community. We are Midwest United States, so we have a lot of land and a lot of farms, which in our area, land is actually one of the most profitable things to sell as real estate agents because one, there's very little work that needs to be done into the transaction. And two, land is very expensive and it tends to sell in bigger quantities here. Right now, our acreage is going for about $8,000 an acre. And again, very little work that needs to be done with that transaction. So a lot of people really enjoy that. So what I created for her to help her brain get moving on her batch process is we want to look at how often you want to send it. And then let's make that list and start filling it in. This is the part where I think people tend to skip this. And then when they get to the creation of the pieces, they get overwhelmed because they're like, oh my goodness, you know, I need 19 pieces to create my 1-year plan, which I know Janine said she only likes to send out every eight pieces in a year, I think is what you said, which that's awesome. A lot of my clients want to send a little bit more than that. So whatever, I tend to make my plans for once a month. But if that doesn't work for you, then you can make whatever works for you inside of this plan and inside of Canva, which is great. So she wanted to do 8 weeks of once a week. And then she wanted to do every 2 weeks. And then we went to month. So it is a little bit more of a detailed plan. And so what she's going to do for me is she's going to go in and on this column, she'll just write down her ideas and bullet points of the topic of each one. And then I'll go in and actually design off of that topic. So then everything will be done and all she has to do is upload and send. So I highly recommend batch content your work because that's going to take so much pressure off of you. And once it's time to actually sit down and upload, you don't have to worry about designing, it's all done. So the other thing that I think is very important is at the very beginning of the year is to do that with all of your marketing. And I'm just going to show you real quick our farming plan. We have them broke down. I know it's kind of hard to see. I'll send this out in emails, but we have it broke down per month, but then also exactly the whole year at one glance of what will go out with our farm. So here is Sarah's, so that way you guys can see it a little bit better. So sorry about that. It's super simple, but simple is the best. We make things so complicated. Literally, you could just put 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12 and just go in one day, go in and write your idea, let it set for a day or two, and then come back and reevaluate, look at your plan and overall. And it's very important to look at your farming plan from like an aerial view because you want to make sure all of the pieces that you have flow. So you don't want to send a piece to your farm that says, oh my gosh, what's your equity? And then you don't want to send like a next one saying like interest rates are going up, because then you're like, okay, we're wanting you to sell, but yet we're kind of scaring you at the same time. So we want to make sure that our message is very clear and consistent. So I think that it's very important to look over all of the pieces you're going to mail out once you've got that plan finished. Pro user, absolutely. If you're not a pro user on Canva, you should definitely probably be. I actually used, I always joke, I've been on Canva for so long that I actually had to apply. When they first started, you had to apply and I had to wait like 4 months to be allowed in. But their original free program I was on for like 10 years, and then they have started making a lot of really good features for the pro. So, all right, so here is some designs. I'm just gonna go over quickly some designs that I think are great for farming. We're gonna have some eye-catching pieces, and then we're gonna also have some kind of filler but educational pieces at the same time. I'm also a really big believer that you should give before asking for the straight up. But we are going to put in call to actions in every single one of them. We're just going to kind of make them feel a little bit hidden and not straight out like, hey, I want your listing, because we're going to give information before we ask. So we've created an elevated agent. We have all of these in the template shop where you guys will get access to, and all of that information will be coming to you. So just keep that in mind. But we have these postcards that are completed and made ready to mail out that are monthly maintenance. postcard. So this could be a really good filler. So if you're trying to fill out your plan for your year-long content, let's just say we did 1, 2, and then we're going to go to 12. Oh, that shouldn't have done that. 3. Okay, so then we could do the first month if you wanted to do, well, honestly, you could do a whole campaign on the maintenance because we do have one a month. So you could write that in for January. You could go over to maintenance. And then we have other ones that are all 1 years too. I wanted to show that to you. So here's the other one is home organization, which is very similar to the home maintenance. It's a once a month mailer. All of the postcards are made for you, and we even give you the back of them. The one thing about the back, I would say, is I think this is a really good opportunity of this is where you keep your brand consistent, because the front obviously is going to be changing every time. But I highly recommend putting something that is always going to be there, whether it is a color or the way you sign your name. Like above your logo, I would put something that is a strategic, clear signature that this is your marketing. So whether it's like a red stripe down the side, or I always like kind of a bright color or a big key or something that just stands out from anybody else in your area. So that way, and it's consistently there, that way they know, okay, this is the same person over and over and over. And the reason why that is so important is because every time somebody feels, oh yeah, that is Kelly's work, that's Kelly's work, that's Kelly's work. She has sent me a postcard. She sent me a postcard. That's Kelly. You know, that they then start to trust the information you're sending them after you've sent it to them a little bit. And that trust is what will then cause them to use you as an agent. So I would highly recommend, this is a strategic point, is that I would highly recommend that if you use a QR code or anything that sends anyone back to any sort of landing page, it really needs to be very, very consistent to what is on that postcard and what is on your website. Because if for some reason they go to a landing page that they don't feel like is on brand for you or matches the other stuff that you've been putting out, you're going to start cutting down on that trust. And that's going to be very bad for your brand, because people don't buy from people they don't trust. They buy from who they know, like, and trust. So that is why we are pulling this. I am actually going to talk about mailbox power in a second. So thank you, Maria, for bringing that up. So the back, you'll also want to make sure that you are following all of your state laws. I don't put a lot of the things that are in most states just because they're all so different. So most states actually require that you put something on the bottom that says, like, this is not a solicitation for your business. If you're working for another agent, please disregard, you know, something like that. So you want to make sure that you have that on all of your pieces, of course. But let's see, this is where I would probably put some sort of QR code. And I'm going to have Lisa jump on in just a few minutes to talk about how she does her QR codes, because she has a really great landing pages that she takes people to. So this is the home organization and then the home maintenance. So let's jump over to some of the postcards that we have created to really get eyes to pop and maybe get a little bit more time spent on your postcard. So again, we really like color. We like things that make people say, hey, that is for me. So we have been noticing that there has been a clear transition in marketing, that people want things curated just for them. So having something that relates to them on that postcard is going to be very important. And I think that if you're marketing to many, many subdivisions, I would be very clear on making sure that the piece for each subdivision is specific for that place, not one piece for all subdivisions. Because those people are going to be like, oh, she's sending me this and that's not even where I live. You know what I mean? So they're going to start disregarding the things that you send. So the other thing that we like is we like urgency, we like scarcity, and we like money, right? So that is one thing that we are kind of hanging our hat on, is how much extra money that we can get people right now because this market is so hot. So this one, of course, says everyone loves your neighborhood. And then we put a bunch of sold signs on there. You could very easily just go to Google, screenshot this neighborhood pop it in here, and then you can just put where the houses have sold very easy. These are all easy drag and drop. So all you have to do, we can move this anywhere. Okay. I know that if I got this in the mail, it would catch my attention just because I would be like, oh, I know Marco's Pizza. You know, it's very clear that that is in my neighborhood. So here we're also putting real information on the back, because again, this is going to build that trust that you're giving them real, true information. Also, hey, 1234 Main Street, it's just down the street from me, they sold for 200,000. Like, that's nuts, man. I want to know more. So this are the things that is going to cause someone to either use your QR code or call you. A lot of ours, we also like to include a full back in case you were to want to print them and hand them out or door knock with them. So you'll notice that on a lot of them. Another one that is very popular is this one, the name your price. This one is creates a little bit of urgency because we all know that this market is not going to stay forever. So at this point, we're like, hey, we love your neighborhood. We're basically going to pay anything. And so you just name your price. So it shows the buyers that they have looking in their neighborhood. It's basically saying we're desperate. And I don't see anything wrong with that, because let's all be real, we all are all desperate. And then, okay, so this is a great one. Those are kind of for finding buyers, generating listings, because those people might not have thought, the people that is getting this one and this one, they might not even thought, hey, I am thinking about selling my home. But if you were to get a postcard that said, hey, if you could get anything you wanted for your house, like, let's talk, that might make someone move. So do you remember the option on Zillow that was the make me move? Like, that is what we're trying to recreate with some of these pieces. If you say something like, if you could sell that for anything, well, yes, you're going to get people that say, oh yeah, I want $1 million for my house. Okay, well, fine, move on from that. But you will get other people that say, you know, like, I thought my house was worth 230, but maybe it's worth 300. Like, do you think that we could get 300? Like, just get that conversation going. And that's all you have to do. Once they raise their hand, that is a huge sign that they are interested in working or even possibly selling. Okay, so I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker. So this is something that I would do for sellers. This is kind of a little bit of a switch. Sorry, I'm not jumping in or not looking at these questions. I feel like there was a good question about yesterday, handwriting addresses. Yes, I'm going to actually talk about that in just a second, about some of the tips that you can do for some of those things. So this one is a really great one because it really does showcase your authority as a real estate agent. It's also showcasing a very strong seller's market. And it's also showcasing your ability to negotiate. So this one postcard does 3 really key things for implementing you as a credible agent in your farm. It's also really pretty, right? So it shows how many hours, how many showings, and how many offers. So boom, you know, like that, we're getting all of those things right now anyway, so you might as well brag a little bit. There's nothing wrong with bragging. I will actually show you, let me see if I can find them. Well, that's okay. It might take me a little bit to find them, but some of my first postcards I made when I was here, in the very middle, I said, Kelly is the fastest growing agent in Topeka. And that was true. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. There's so many of us that are scared to kind of brag about ourselves. It's okay. It's okay. Do it. I like this one also because it does have the testimony in the back. And I do think those are important. I don't necessarily think that it's a great use of funds to send out postcards that are only testimonies, but adding them in is a really nice way to kind of fluff up some of your marketing. Okay, so this is just a really quick spreadsheet right here. I'm gonna send a link out. It's so easy, but, and I'll fill it in with a few examples here. Here is where you would type in the just sold postcard. And we're gonna say we did a 7x5. And then we mailed it on 4/29/2022. And then it went to Warren's Bay. And then the QR, which Lisa's going to jump on in just a second to show that website, you'll be able to see how many people scan the QR code and actions that it was taken after they scanned it. So that is where you're going to say, we had 24 scans or 34 scans, whatever, and 6 CMAs, let's say. I'm just making these up. So that way you can see very easily at a very quick glance, okay, I mailed out, and I should probably add this cost. So it cost us $230, let's say. So I can very easily look and say, okay, I had 6 actions taken that could generate business down the road. I don't always like to only feel successful if I get an actual listing out of it, because people can sit on it for a little bit longer. So I always like to make sure that I'm looking at just actions taken also. That's very important. Lisa, do you want to get on and jump on in so we can look at the QR code website that you like to use for the CMA?
Yep, I will show you guys real quick. Okay. You guys all see my HomeBot page? Yes, I can't. So Kelly, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, my chat and everybody disappears for a second when I do this. Okay. All right. So QR codes. So when you have a QR code, you guys, we've had a conversation a couple different trainings ago where if you can have a QR code, and some people will have it go to, let's say, just their website. Okay, like, oh, search for homes. Here's my website. That is not purposeful because you are not capturing their information necessarily. And it's not as much of a call to action as what HomeBot has been. So what HomeBot is, if you're not on it yet, thank you, Janine. She just put the link in there. I'm not affiliated with HomeBot, but it has been one of the greatest tools I think that they have created. It's simple and it's very effective. Okay. So the thing is, you have a landing page in HomeBot. This is my listing leads landing page. You can create, here's my URL. You can create a QR code out of this. You can create it in Canva, or you can also create, I think you can like right click and create it too. I don't know. Okay. But you also can create it in Flow Code. Flow Code is, it is a subscription, but you can be able to track a lot more data about who's scanning, where they're scanning from, all that good stuff in Flow Code. So there's a couple options for you for how and where to create QR codes. The reason why we love HomeBot, I'm going to go back to my page here, is because once you get the leads in here, you can be able to, so what HomeBot does is sends them a once a month value estimate of their property. And it's not just the value. It is also a bunch of, information about Airbnbs and the interest rates and what their payoff amount is and what their interest rate is on their current mortgage. It's very simple. It's a very great format as well for them to be able to see. Oh, and I just clicked on a wrong person. That's not going to have one. Hold on. But okay, let's look at these guys because I actually just comped their house. We're going to put it up for sale this next week. And the CMA. So this is awesome. Okay, you guys, this is where your value comes in. Okay. So these guys right here, they have been receiving my emails. They have been opening it. They keep checking the values. The value of their house, I just comped it. We're putting it up for sale next week. It's actually $495.
Wow.
Right. So it's not on. And so people are like, well, why would I use HomeBot? Because the values aren't right. Well, that's a good thing. And it's a good thing because we don't want any automated system to take over our jobs. We don't want them to be correct. We do, however, have a very good excuse, which I'll talk about on the follow-up, but we have a very good excuse to be able to contact the homeowners and say, hey, you received this value. It's definitely not in the ballpark. The price has moved too quickly right now. So let me get you a correct value on your property. Right. So anyway, awesome product. So if you're going to use a QR code, I'll stop there so I quit talking about it. But if you're going to use a QR code, this right here is going to be one of the best tools that you can be able to use, have that QR code. And then your call to action, most of the time on those postcards is, would you like to know the value of your home? Would you like to know the current value of your home? Easy reason for them to scan the QR code and be able to get in, register their email. You now have their email, and then they can be able to access all this awesome information. And then if they have questions, they can easily right here message you. It goes directly to your email. Okay. So I will stop there. Does that
Yeah, that's great.
Answer. Okay. I'll quit there for right now.
Okay, thank you for showing that. That was awesome. I am going to dig into that so much more. So I said I would chat a little bit about Power Mailbox. I'm just digging into this. I think Sylvia Castillo is actually on the call or on the webinar today. She's amazing. It is kind of a done-for-you farming product. It's a website. It's very robust, and I would say that if you are interested in it, you probably need to do some sort of training with them because it's so robust. But it truly is, once you get it set up, it truly is a very nice done for you where it mails it. You can set up these drip campaigns, amazing. So if anybody's interested in that, I would highly recommend Mailbox Power. Before I wrap up my side, I do want to talk a little bit about a couple of different ways that you can still farm, but maybe not for sellers. I know some of you guys out there might be buyer agents, so I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to actually find buyers and farms also. So you can farm a rental neighborhood. We usually think about, getting listings off of farms, but it is a really big market is people that rent. So let me just jump over. Oh, wait, I'm not sharing my screen, am I? Boop, boop. Let me share my screen real quick. Nope, we don't want to do that. Okay, so this is an example of, I have an entire guide that is rent versus buying. It's like 10 pages, it's really cool, but I condensed it into a postcard. And really, you could take this postcard and make it into 4 postcards if you wanted to, very easily. So what this is it's basically something that you can mail to renters that says why it might be good for them to actually buy. We also have a fix your credit score guide, improve your credit score to buy a house, which would be a great compliment to send this to somebody that is renting. Just be careful. You don't want to be like, improve your credit score because you suck, you're a renter. We don't want it to sound like that. But a lot of times people are renting because they aren't financially ready to buy a house. So maybe make it sound a little bit softer. But this is a great piece to send out because it's very educational. There's a lot of great content on it. And so I don't want to miss out on an opportunity to market to people that are buyers as well as sellers. Another way that you can market to your farm with buyers, and this is something that we started doing on my team, and we have gotten so many people calling us or giving us feedback on it. The buyers really like it because it makes them feel excited. And that is a buyer sign. We put out for sale signs all the time, but what are we doing to celebrate buyers that just purchased a home? So we created a welcome to the neighborhood buyer sign. You can put your name and face all over this, stick this at as many houses as you can in your farm. We are talking about things to go in the mail. However, there is more to farming than just the mail. Farming can include open houses, signs, door knocking, and I love the buyer sign. It is something fun that we like to do. A lot of times we'll even put balloons with it. And it's just kind of just like a cherry on top. They get to go to their new house and they have this fun sign in the yard. So that is kind of all I wanted to show you with that. I wanted to come back and talk about some of the questions that was mentioned. There are a few tips that I have if you are sending things yourself and not using a company to send. The one thing I do like about Mailbox Power is that they do give you the capability of being able to brand the other things that you send out, not just the postcard. So I will say that is something I like about them. If you are going to mail something to a farm yourself, and I have done this, I always like to write my signature. And let me tell you, I've sat and signed 500 letters before. It sucks, but sometimes, if you either got time or money, and at that time I had time, so signing those letters was okay for me. And then my kids and I, we would sit and we would stuff envelopes. It was great, but I always did a hand signature. I always did bright envelopes. So I would go onto Amazon and I would pick blue, red, green, whatever, pink, something bright that stands out within all of their envelopes in their mailbox, because every other envelope is white, right? So just just even changing that up can make a big difference. And also, since I was mailing them out myself, I did spend a little extra money to do just a regular stamp. You know, you're mailing them out yourself, but I did not use the machine to scan. I put a real stamp on there because I feel like when people get a real stamp in their mailbox, it feels less electronic, like less robotish. And I'm probably much more likely to open something that has a real stamp. I did not handwrite my addresses as much as I wanted to. That was just too much work. So I did do kind of a nicer label, and maybe did like more of a custom font just in Word, you know, or whatever. But those are, in different sizes. So I would sometimes do a different size envelope that would maybe, instead of the 110 size, that would maybe just like stick up a little bit higher or something. So that way, when people are holding their mail and they like to like stack it all nice and neat, it sticks out, right? And it's kind of annoying. And then you have to look at that letter. That's kind of annoying. So those are kind of my little tricks to getting maybe a little bit more attention on the pieces in the mail. And so I hope that's beneficial. This will all go out, but we have a ton of really fun templates that you guys can check out on our website. If you go sign up for our newsletter, you get $20 free in our shop. So make sure you go and do that. That link will be going out also.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. That was beautiful. I love the beautiful part. Okay, I'm gonna get crazy here just a second. Move my chair out of the way and grab my marker. Find my marker. There it is. Okay, so you guys have now gone through the process. You've like sent out the mailers, and now you're starting to get response. And then it's like, oh, how do we keep up with the response, number one, but also what do we do with the people? So, you know, it's all fine and dandy if we put all this effort out on the front end, but if you aren't great with your follow-up on the back end, then you're just wasting money. That's pretty much where you're at that point. So what I want to talk about is not dropping the ball, but we want to talk about classifying. Okay. And here's me, not fancy, no slideshow. You get me on the board because that's how I teach. So we want to classify the leads that we have come in. Okay. And what we're going to do with them, how we're going to follow up with them. So let's say that we have a seller lead. Okay. We've got our sellers. We got a buyer, we may have our renters. And within these different categories, we also have a time frame. We have got to find out what their time frame is when we're talking to them or when we're following up with them. Okay. So first thing is, let's talk about our sellers. So you're going to use your QR code. You guys, you're going to use your QR code. They're going to drop into HomeBot. And in HomeBot, you're going to now have their email address and their name. You will not have their phone number necessarily, but you're going to have their email and their name. So how do you effectively contact them without being creepy? That would be your goal here. So value. Always, everything you do, write it in ink next to your monitor. You need to be providing some sort of value when you contact anyone. So what you don't do is send an email that said, okay, I noticed that you scanned my QR code. Do you want to sell your house? In so many words, right? Or some scripted version of that. So how do we add value? Well, the value would be, I noticed that you were interested in the value of your home. This program is awesome. However, the market moves so quickly that the program cannot keep up with the values. So if you're interested in, or are you interested in the most accurate or current value of your home? I'm here for you. Write your name, send off the email. That's the first email I would send to anyone who signs up on HomeBot. Okay. You are then giving them a reason to contact you. Now watch, let's say you broke the bank. Let's say that you send out 2,500 mailers and you have 100 people that sign up for HomeBot. You have 100 potential sellers. And then you're overwhelmed. Like, well, what do I do at that point? Because I have so many people to follow up with and I just can't do it. And how do I find the time? So when you look in your HomeBot system, you will see the most active. It rates them for who's opened their emails most recently and who is active on the site. That's where you're going to start. Okay, you want to start with the people that are the most interested. And then save the rest of them for a little bit later. You still want to follow up with them. You can still have a blanket email and kind of copy and paste. But you want to make sure, yes, start with the hottest ones first so that you're not getting discouraged and you're not making wasting time. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is, if you're going to send a second email, let's say that they don't respond, then send a second email. You want to find out if they're interested in selling, like what would their time frame be? So somehow in there you want to be, you know what, these houses have sold in your neighborhood. This is what's been going on in your neighborhood. This one down the street from you just sold for X amount of dollars. Like things are moving really quickly. Is this something that you're interested in? You're trying to create some sort of relationship by adding value with the clients. That's what you're doing so that they can start to trust you. That's where we're shooting with that. Okay, so that's with our sellers. Okay, and again, you're just going to repeat the same thing every month. Once a month, HomeBot sends out the email. So you don't need to be overzealous and think that you have to call these people every single week or send them an email every single week. You don't. Watch to see what the traffic is. If they keep getting on and looking multiple times on HomeBot, then you know that they're a little bit hotter, and then you go in, you know, a little bit more forceful. Or if they're really looking really often, then print out a CMA and mail it to them, or digitally do a CMA and send it to them, email it to them. You could do either one. Mail seems to be pretty nice because people like that tangible stuff instead of just another email. Do I ever use HomeSnap to find their phone number? You can try to find their phone number if you would like to. Because they gave me their email, I like to try to communicate with email first because that's what they've given me. I don't want to be the creepy one, right? So if they're interested, they tend to respond back to you. If they have any sort of inclination that, hey, I really do want to know what my house is worth, then they're gonna respond back to you. So it's up to you. I'm not up for the cold calling, you guys. I don't go search out people's phone numbers and start cold calling people. I don't. But if they want to give me their email, then I will definitely provide value to them, for sure. Value, again, is going to come in the form of, you know, here's an update of here's what's going on in the market, or here's what the interest rates are doing, right? Starting to provide some information that way too. Okay, with our buyers. So you can have a buyer QR code as well. So I know Kelly talked about that. We have postcards for potential buyers, for renters. If you have a buyer, you can do a landing page through HomeBot for your buyer as well, your QR code for buyers, for them to sign up to start to explore the market. That's what the catch, the tagline is on there. Now, here's the catch though. You only get a buyer landing page on HomeBot if you are partnered with a lender. So this has to be with a lender. Now, the lender has to pay $200 a month, okay, in order to be a part of HomeBot. We as agents, we are only $25 a month. And I do have a 10% off code that they gave me, so I will put that in the email for follow-up as well. But the lenders have to pay $200 a month, and then they pay $25 for every agent that they have partnered with them. So the lenders are in, they're hitting the lenders a lot harder than they're hitting us. You still have a seller landing page for that $25 a month for yourself, no matter what. But in order to get the buyer landing page, you have to be partnered with a lender. In order to be partnered with a lender, you usually need to be providing some sort of like give and take with the lender. That's the best way to get them to add you to it. So if you're providing business to them, that would be the lender I would go talk to have you add them to their HomeBot. Okay. If they don't know what HomeBot is, you're going to have to explain it and what a great tool it is and how you can start capturing contact info. It's the best way to follow up right now. 100% best way to follow up with all of our past sellers too. That's a whole nother conversation, but it is the best way to follow up with our past sellers too. Okay. Renters, again, that would be our buyer QR code that you're going to put on there, of course. So if you're going to do any sort of follow up with the renters, that would be more along that credit score line. If you're going to have a conversation with them, and if they scan the QR code, they drop into the buyer landing page and they show up as a buyer lead on your HomeBot, then you're going to want to send them an extra email, some of that credit repair stuff, some specific information about what it costs to rent and what it costs to buy, or what a house payment would be in this price range. If they're renting a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, or a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, you can show what a comparable home would be, and they could have their own yard and all the positives. And a lot of times with renters, at least what I found, people who are not homeowners yet, they never knew they could be. There's a whole population out there of people that just weren't told when they were kids that this is something that you can do, right? And so teach them. You can be there to educate them. Also, if you can target renters, you guys, do a Zoom first-time homebuyer class. Something like that would be awesome. It's easier to get people on a Zoom than it is to get people physically to take time out of their day. So do a Zoom homebuyer class. Okay, that's a really great way to do too. QR codes are not an ongoing expense at all. So you can create a QR code. It's just like your digital signature kind of, but you can create that. It doesn't cost you anything. You can do it free in Canva. There's many places you can create a free QR code, and then you can be able to use that. You don't have to. Flow code is what I had mentioned to you, and I will put a link in the replay stuff. Flow code is just an option. It's like $99 a year, but you're able to track the more statistics. So if you like that, then go for it. I don't do that. I'm like, you know what? Here's my QR code for my landing page for my HomeBot. If they scan it, they show up and I know they scanned it. So if they scan, they still have to register. So what flow code is going to show you is, are they scanning but not registering? If that makes sense. Okay. All right. So we classified our leads. Okay. Now, buckets for leads. Okay. I want to talk to you about what bucket we put them in. So I always talk about buckets because where we can also get lost is in the follow-up and how we do follow-up in less time is what it would be. So we have 3 different buckets of leads. Okay. When we have our sellers, we have our buyers, and this is like we started contacting, like we got some kickback from these guys, right? We started having a conversation. So we have our sellers, we have our buyers, and then we have what I call internet. Oh my gosh, I can't spell and talk at the same time. Okay, so let's work backwards here. So our internet leads, these are people that, let's say you did get their email address, say they're on your HomeBot. If they're a seller lead, they're getting an email from you once a month. If you feel like that's not enough, like if you feel like you want to do a little bit more, then these would be the people that you would put on your CRM or your drip campaign. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not do this very often at all. So this is your least personal form of follow-up. So that's why if you are doing, I mean, not just this, but any sort of like internet advertising, any sort of leads that come in and you get people that just will not respond to you at all, then they're the great type of lead to build, to be able to put on this. Okay. But you have a buyer and you get some sort of response from a potential buyer. Say they're a renter, even a current homeowner. And then they're like, well, what's going on in the market? And I might be interested. What do you do with them at that point? You put them on a search. Free, by the way. Your searches are free. You do them in your MLS. You don't have to have a third-party site to do them. I actually suggest you do not have a third-party site to put them on a search because your MLS updates faster than any other third-party site. So you want them, and ours is Paragon. Everybody's got a different one. It doesn't matter. You put them on a search. So your goal with any potential buyer, this kind of lead, any kind of lead, you guys, your goal with a potential buyer is you have a conversation with them finally, and you find out, well, what is it that you're looking for, right? Find out about their life a little bit, where they want to be, what their price range might be in. Say that they're not ready yet. That's okay. If they're ready in 12 months, if they think in the next 12 months they might be ready, you get them put on a search. And your reasoning for that, or the way I sell this to them, is let's keep an eye on the market. Would you like to be notified once a week, once a day, once a month about the homes that are on the market? We will take all the properties that are within your criteria that we're talking about. So every 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom under $450,000 in this specific area. And that's going to get sent directly to one web page for you. And you can be able to sort through them. So even if you're not ready yet, you at least know what types of homes and what the quality of homes are out there in the price range that you're looking at. Okay, so that's the pitch. Every single time you use that pitch at open houses, you use that pitch at a lead that's a potential buyer lead. That is the exact same pitch I use every single time. Now, if they're like, oh, I have a search up on Zillow, okay, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's really good, but Zillow's not accurate, right? They're not pulling all the accurate information, and this is the fastest. So in a really hot, fast market like we have right now, if there's a property that pops up that you're really interested in, you want to know first. So in order to know first, we need to put you here because this comes out within seconds of a home being listed. Whereas Zillow could be 15 or 30 minutes or, you know, however long, or they could have jacked it up and it doesn't show up at all because that's happening now too. Okay. So get them on a search. That's all you do with the buyer. Then to be able to keep an eyeball on that buyer, you guys, you can just go into where your searches are. You can see when they've been delivered an email, when they've opened it, like when they've been notified of properties. You can see who's active. And then you focus on the active people. Then you're not wasting your time beating the dead horse for people who aren't going to buy, who aren't interested right now. That's where we start getting frustrated and we quit. Okay, our sellers, any seller, any potential seller, whether you're doing a mailer, whether you talk to a neighbor and the neighbor's like, yeah, you know, kind of curious about what the value of my house is. You all the time get their email, okay? Your goal with every single seller, potential seller, is to get their email. So whether it's through QR code or through asking them, and you get them put on HomeBot. And the pitch here, the sales pitch, is I've got this awesome program. It does not cost you anything. It is not junk email. Once a month, it's going to sell you a value of your home or send you a value of your home. That's all it's going to do. It's going to have, you know, if you want to Airbnb it, it'll show what your mortgage is. It's going to tell you what the rates are, the current rates, and especially now, right? The rates are going like this. And so they might want to know what the rates are. So it just provides some really great information. It's not junk, but it only comes once. And are you interested in that? That right there is a conversation that you can have with somebody at the grocery store or standing in line at the DMV. Anybody that's interested in the value of their home, you guys, get them put on here, 100%. Okay, so those are our 3 buckets. So don't overcomplicate it. This is all you do with your leads. All you do with your leads. And then you focus on the ones that are active, right? That's what we're doing at that point. Client's calling me now. Okay. How do we, I've had questions before, like how do we keep up? So say you do start getting more leads and you're like, great, this is successful with the mailers and I'm getting all these leads, but now I'm overwhelmed. So find your number one. Hold on, let's get this off here. Okay, so how do we keep up when, like, my busy is different than your busy, right? Everybody's busy is a little bit different and our threshold is a little bit different as well. So you want to make sure, and this is just a quick tip, that you are planning out your week. Plan it on Monday or Sunday, sorry. I started reading the chat and then I get all off. But plan your week on Sunday. Fill in all the appointments, all the things, the to-dos that you already have planned for the week. Then it's easy for you to fill in with the gaps. You can fill in your follow-up time that you have with these potential clients. Any of the leads that you have come in. If you do not allocate time, again, what happens is you go all the way through the week, we come to Friday and you're like, oh, I was going to follow up with these potential leads, but I never got to it. And then you move it to the next week. And then it gets busy again. Or you just don't have that structure that you need in your schedule in order to be successful with your follow-up. If you are not successful in your follow-up, you will not succeed. You won't. They won't just start randomly calling you. You have got to be successful in your follow-up. So what I tell myself is, once I fill in the gaps during the week of, okay, I've got a time frame here for 30 minutes or an hour, and I will pencil in my planner. I will pencil in exactly when I will be doing my follow-up. if I get to Friday, I have to have it done. If I push it off, like, okay, Monday got busy, I have to push it to Tuesday. Tuesday got busy, push it to Wednesday, right? I have Friday finishers. By Friday, all of the things that I had in my schedule, I have got to have them done. And that helps me not to procrastinate, because we also are going to get into like, you know, I don't want to make the phone calls, or it's kind of awkward, or, you know, that self-doubt that we have sometimes. So we have these leads come in and we did all the upfront stuff. And now we're like, but I don't, like, it's awkward and I don't know if I want to call them, and what do I say? And then we hesitate and then we put it off. So consistency is super, super important. Make sure that you have the Friday finishers, you guys, and get them done. Get them done. Okay. Okay. Does anybody have questions? That's like it in a nutshell. It's so simple. So simple. Let's go. I kind of didn't read the chat when I was talking, so let me kind of hop on here and raise your hand if you guys have any questions. And it can be questions all around now. So for any three of us, let me know if you have any questions. And if you hit the little raise, oh, go ahead.
No, great job. I had a couple questions I pulled out of the chat, so let me just get that one up. Somebody said, I started HomeBot. Will HomeBot notify me of a CMA request?
Okay, so yes, if the buyer clicks, or seller, whoever it is, if they click, like, they'll say, double check my value. They want to know if my value is correct. They'll ask for a current CMA on their property. The HomeBot directly sends you an email from that. And the cool thing is, you don't have to go looking for your client's email address. When you hit reply to that email, it goes right back to your client. So it's very, very simple. I will say this, unless you have a client that is very serious about looking or selling, if they're just like, hey, what's the general, like, kind of what's the general, like, value of my property, give them a range. You're about here to here. Don't spend 3 hours doing a print CMA. That is me. Unless they're like, okay, yep, I'm totally interested, or I'm really ready, then spend the time. But you don't want to be wasting and spinning your wheels, you know, wasting time spinning your wheels for people that are just like, oh, my value is off. What do you think my value is? You're still that voice bringing value to them, but you don't have to overdo it.
Awesome. And I had another one for Kelly that I filtered out. How do you create a sold postcard if you are not the listing agent?
You can pull from other people in your office if you would like, or you can change it to a buyer if you wanted. You could say sold, and you could say we beat out 12 other offers. So that way you can also show your power as a negotiator for your buyers as well.
Nice. Very good.
Oh, great, Shelly.
Somebody just asked, who do you get in touch with for all the different pieces here? So yeah, because we all teach 3 different things, which was fun. Like, we just connected online, and I love other people who have great products and provide good value. So that's one of the reasons why we decided to put this together. And farming, like the stuff that Janine taught, like, I didn't know how to do my RO, like the turnover rate, like that just blew my mind, because I was wondering how you did that. So now I learned something new. Watch your email, you guys. I will send out a follow-up email by tomorrow. It will have links for everyone's information, so you can join. Everybody's got a Facebook group, so you can be able to post questions in each of those individual face groups if you have them. You can always DM me. I always take that too. We all have some sort of training that we provide if you are in need of something in a specific area. We all have training for that too. Let's see. I need to peel the layers in HomeBot. Sounds like I need to set up email systems. So the nice thing about HomeBot is all you do, and I will send this out as well, you can just blanket upload. You can just spreadsheet, send it to this one guy. He'll upload all of your contacts for you into HomeBot, so you don't have to do it one at a time if you've got a lot of them. My tip, and this is kind of a whole other conversation with follow-up. I taught a follow-up playbook that's so important, but you should have every seller that you've ever had on HomeBot, like every homeowner, every home buyer, anyone who owns a property that is in your database, they need to be on HomeBot. There's a real kind of specific, tricky way to do that, to have it be personal, a little bit more personal, but you're missing out. I had just actually put a post up in my group yesterday. I did some of my follow-up, and I've already got people like, oh, yep, I've got my daughter. I love the HomeBot thing. I've got my daughter looking for a house. So now they're, scanned my buyer QR code from my postcard I sent them, and they're already exploring the market for their daughter. And it works so well, you guys, so well. I can't say it enough. Yes, if you miss the first hour, the whole recording will be available to you. So no worries, it's a lot of information, so you can go back through it on the pieces that you need.
I just want to say one last thing too. I think this has been my mantra. These girls know it. I heard a long time ago someone say, you don't have to get it perfect, you just have to get it going. Mm-hmm. And I live by that. So don't overanalyze, just start. And breaking it down into little bites is really the best way to do it. So it's not quite so overwhelming.
Right. And don't figure too, like you said, if you have a $50 budget for mailings, then spend $50. Like, do something is better than nothing. Yep. And you don't have to go into debt. I always tell all my agents I train, don't go into debt trying to get ahead, because all you're going to do is put more undue pressure on yourself and put yourself in the hole. So grow with it, right? Spend money as you make money, but don't get ahead of yourself and start spending too much money to where you're then like trapped and having to make a sale because you just spent your life savings on marketing. You don't want to do that. Somebody asked, Tanya or Taryn Burks, can you re-put your question in there? Because I don't know.
I got her question. When you're doing direct mailers, do you need to have the address line on the postcard since you're not manually writing the address? So one of the wonderful things about every door direct mail, and I got a course on it. I'll probably put the course in the follow-up email too, just because there's a lot of questions on it. You don't need the addresses, which is a nice thing about the routes. Okay, you can just mail to them the entire routes. You don't need their names, you don't need their addresses. It goes to the entire route, what you saw highlighted in blue on the very first session, and it's the easiest way. It will not be personalized. But then again, this is where some of our designs can come in, just like Kelly mentioned. You can make it relevant to them, right? So you have a lot of other cool things you can do rather than saying, dear, Joe Smith on 123 Main Street. It will just say local postal customer. Okay.
Perfect. Somebody had mentioned a question. So they're new to their area. They've only lived there a year. Like, so what? I'm going to tell you, so what? Because I moved to my area, didn't know anybody. My brokerage wasn't even like situated here at all. So I was solo, 100% solo, didn't know people except for the handful of people that I went to church with, or maybe some of my kids, parents, friends, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, if you are putting value out there, if your goal is to provide value to people, to help them sell, to help them buy, but you're out there providing value and you're not just out there being another agent that's trying to sell a house or throw a sign in a yard, you will stand out. People will get to know you. You will make a name for yourself. So it doesn't matter how long you've lived, like, anywhere. I never say die, people. Like, if somebody else can do it, you can do it too. There is no reason why you can't. So tell me the 10 reasons why you can. But do not tell me the 10 reasons why you can't, because you will always find, our brains will always find more reasons why we can't do something than why we can. We're always going to look for the bad.
I'm going to chime in why we can. There is a question going back on, there is already an agent kicking butt in a good way with farming. And this is the neighborhood where I live, and I want to show everyone I'm here too. Again, this goes back to my very first part that I talked about. I went into a farm that has been farmed for over 20 years by an agent. This agent still has a very, very big presence. However, at this point, we are head to head on who's the #1 listing agent in that subdivision. Because I didn't say, oh, somebody's already there, walk away, and decided to let my dreams be washed away. Somebody is going to say, she's not my cup of tea. Somebody is going to say, I want a second person. So maybe you are that second person for that person.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't think people are just going to automatically say, oh yeah, I'm going to work with her because she's been here. Maybe they can't stand that person. Maybe they're just annoyed with the way they constantly are mailing them or constantly are saying something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and when she talked, I love how Janine said, like, know your competition, but also I always assess my competition. So if you do have another agent that's doing really great in the area, go look at their list, go look at their listings, look at their listing presentation, you know, pay attention to how many houses have they sold, but also like, how do they respond? What are their reviews? Find the holes. And I know that sounds kind of mean, but if you've got somebody that's out there listing homes and you're like, I can do a better job than that, then you figure out how you step up your game so that you can become a better listing agent than that. What else can you provide? Where are there other trainings coming up? Somebody asked, do you want more trainings? Because we love training. So if you guys want more trainings, like post here or send us a DM. And I mean, we love it. We love to help you guys be successful and have the tools that you need to go kick butt. So if you guys have specific things that you want to learn about, we are here for it. 100%, we're here for it. Okay. See if we have any other. HomeBot is not available in Canada. Okay, I love that question. I will think on that. You can be able to provide, we can figure something out there.
Say maybe Cloud CMA. So I'm currently still with Cloud CMA. Try Cloud CMA, see if they are in Canada. It does similar things in terms of providing value instantly, nothing for buyers, sadly, and no cool updated marketing. But there is a Canadian equivalent to HomeBot, Eric says. So Eric, you're gonna have to indulge us on this one, I guess, what it's called.
Okay. So
Same with the United States Postal Service, United States. So if there's an equivalent for Canada, I'm all ears. As of right now, I don't know of any of them. So United States only.
Eric said too, there's a Canadian equivalent to HomeBot. So Eric, yeah, put that in the chat. That would be awesome if you know what that is. So if you're wondering like who, what we are, right? So Janine teaches mailers, like she is the guru on mailing marketing. Kelly teaches design and provides designs. And then I am follow-up, I do coaching. So those are our three specialties that we do. And I would love, who is on here can tell me something that they would like. If you guys can put in the chat something that you would like to see a training on, like I'm gonna give you a planner because I got planners that I want to give away. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then I also I will send out for you guys too. I've got we're about hitting the rest of this one, but anyway, I've got real estate planners that it's very specific. This is how I keep my 100 transactions a year in check so that I don't freaking lose my mind. So I'm going to send you guys a special code that you only have to pay the shipping. So this is a $59 product and you only have to pay the shipping. Okay. Because I love y'all. So I will send that out with the email as well. But yeah, let's see. So FSBO's expired, canceled listings. Okay, good. I'm going to keep all this. Some way to market to older expired listings, the one that didn't sell 3 to 7 years ago. Good call. Time management. Love that. Starting a real estate business. How to do a CMA. And I bet too, Kelly's probably got some pretty ways to be able to present a CMA. I got the tactical. She gets the pretty. Time management. Struggling with the CMAs. Okay. We can do that. Post transactions, what you do post transaction. Luxury. I love, okay, so I'm going to tell you real quick before we get off here. I just love to talk, I'm sorry. But I had a $3 million listing up, okay? And I had this agent who told me she was a luxury agent and she was coming, she wanted to buy it herself. And she kept knocking on my price and telling me, how did I comp it? And I mean, she just was trying to find everything wrong with what I'd done. And I was like, well, I know I'm right. Like I did my research. I know the value of the property. Like she can just kick rocks. Like, so we didn't end up selling it to her. We didn't take her offer, but she labeled herself as a luxury agent. Okay. Here's your lesson, you guys. I went and looked her up on HomeSnap because I love to go scope other people out. I looked her up. She sells about 11 houses a year, and her highest price point was 1.5 million. So she went and got herself a luxury designation. It doesn't mean she's a luxury agent. It doesn't mean she knows what she's doing. All right. The proof is in the pudding. Like, get out and do it and take the action. That is the part that matters. Anyway, but don't worry so much about that. Okay? Like, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Okay, we got lots of good comments, guys. I'm going to keep
Yeah, we
it in
do.
chat.
Yeah, let's wrap it up, I think. I think we got some work to do in the future, but this was amazing. I think you guys are, obviously awesome to be here with, and we should do that
Thank you
more.
guys.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you have an awesome weekend.
Thank you.
Keep your
Bye,
eyeballs out for the
everybody.
replay.